Thursday night. Oh, okay. I'm jumping the gun. But again, welcome to Thursday Night Men's Locker Room. My name is Joe William, and I will be one of the hosts tonight. We want to welcome you in the room. As I always say, we come into a place where we can find some unification, some dialogue, some heart to heart conversation. And as we move through this journey called life, as I was saying earlier, we're not looking for perfection, but we are wanting to keep it real and perfecting our love. So that's what the energy that we want to bring here is, like I say, one of unity. I always say none of us is as smart as all of us, and to have great dialogue. So, with that said, I won't prolong what I'm saying, and I'm going to turn it over to Brother Darren Steigers so he can bring us the topic for tonight: Faith with Friends, the power of male friendship. So, Brother Steigers, take it over.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. Again, say good evening to everybody we haven't had a chance to say good evening to yet. If you're just signing on, and if you listen to the replay later on, we pray that you can get something fruitful out of our Thursday night meetings, men's locker rooms. Want to let Eric Shaw know that we appreciate the way he came from last week with patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Very enlightening. Yeah. And he
Yes.
constantly reminds us about the surrender. And I learned a lot from Eric just from that one word, even when I didn't want to hear
Come on now.
it. Got to go with it. But tonight
All
we're
right.
talking about faith with a friend and power of male friendships. So, one of the first things I'd like to bring up is how God designed us as men. He designed us to be brothers, just like we are on this call, and not to be isolated by ourselves. You know, like in Ecclesiastes, it talks about two are better than one. And if one of them fall, either one of you fall down, the other can help the other one up. You know, so when you talk about biblical friendship, you're talking about somebody or somebodies that can encourage us or challenge us or help us when we stumble. And we always talk about how men, we always told you're supposed to be strong, you ain't supposed to cry, all these things. And personally, I think that sometimes I think we're embarrassed or ashamed or don't want to appear weak. So we don't share it with each other and we stay isolated. But I will say this though, sharing does require a relationship to be built so you can feel comfortable to open up. You know, and since I've been in this locker room, I feel like that's what we've been doing with each other. So, and you'll find folks that when you do open up and tell your story, chances are somebody else experienced it, or you could be saying something that helps somebody else just by being transparent and authentic. You know, they can hear something that helps them, you know. So, a true friend makes us stronger spiritually. We always say every time we come on, iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens the other. So these Christian male friendships that we have should be moving us toward Christ, not just in any male friend relationship. Should not just be about the friendship and just the companionship, but it should be honest accountability and lead us towards spiritual growth. Because I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm a sinner just like any man. You know, temptation comes at me in various forms in various areas. And I use the locker room for an example. But because I built a relationship here with you guys and others that's
Mhm.
been on here, I actually feel like if I did something crazy or messed up in one way or the other, I almost feel like I'd be letting you guys down in a funny kind of way, you know, because I look at you guys as my accountability partners. But I don't feel like you guys would throw me under the bus. Like the Bible said, I feel like y'all would try to help restore me gently as a Christian friend would. Now, and we should be modeling ourselves after the Father or Jesus, you know, because he modeled what friendship was like. Because he said, "Greater love than no man that is that a man lay down for his life for his friends," you know.
Yeah.
And he had his 12. But you notice in that particular group, I think his closest relationship, his close companion were Peter, James, and John, right? Is that right? Um, so his relationships remind us that you can have strength and be masculine, but you can also be vulnerable and affectionate and share deeply with other men too. You can have all of them at the same time, you know. So we can carry each other's burdens. The Bible says that we bear each other's burdens. Um,
Absolutely.
so a good Christian brother is somebody we can be honest with our struggles about. We pray together, we confess where we fail, and we receive grace instead of judgment.
That's right.
You
That's
know what
right.
I'm saying? So, in other words, if I got a Christian brother that's an alcoholic, he doesn't need me constantly badgering him every time I see him telling him he's an alcoholic. Y'all
Right.
heard me say this. Chances are he already knows he's an alcoholic, you know?
He's, of course he knows.
So, so what I'm trying to say is,
No, you said it like you want to say
yeah, it it might be time to consider another approach filled with love. You know what I'm
it.
saying? Because chances are you probably used to drink too. I know I did. So, in other words, people need mercy the most when they deserve it the least. You know, just like to prove that, Jesus, when he was dying, he told the very people that was crucifying him, told his father, "Forgive them; they don't know not what they do."
Right. Right.
And that's all about love. So ultimately, biblical friendship points us toward Christ.
Yes, sir.
And the Bible also reminds us, I don't want to give you guys all these scriptures, but it said, faithful are the wounds of a friend,
Hmm.
meaning that a true friend, at first I looked at that the wrong way. What do you mean by faithful are the wounds of a friend? Are they wounded? No, they talking about your friend wounding you, but meaning that a true friend loves you enough to tell you the truth,
Right?
Yep.
even when it hurts,
Hmm.
because that friend cares more about your character and your spiritual growth than about telling you what makes you comfortable and feely touch and make you feel good. You
That's
know,
right.
yeah. So sometimes the most loving brother you have can tell you the truth. I had a couple of friends in the military did me like that. I thought I was gonna do something. And like, they call me Stag. Like, Stag, are you serious, man? You consider doing that? Are you crazy? He didn't try to sugarcoat it. And then I sat back. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that from him. Maybe I better listen. My buddy telling me, you need to watch that, So the goal isn't simply just to have good friends, but it's to become a faithful friend who helps you to live more faithful as a man of God. So I didn't want to go on too long, so I'm gonna take the Eric Shaw approach. Thank you, Eric. I'm glad you started doing that because now I done stole your thunder. Um, so I want us and whoever's in the room to think about this is a comment with a question. Think about a man who has made you a better follower of Christ. Think about that, but then try to help answer these questions. What did he do to help you to be a better follower of Christ? What did he do? And what kind of friend was he? What kind of friend would that help you make a difference? That made that difference. But first, I'll jump start us with the question and give you some of my couple of my personal experiences. Um, Back in the early 2000s, when I was part of this church, I was an associate minister of the pastor. I was his right-hand man.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, I'm gonna tell you like an old pastor told me. So he's passing something down to me from somebody passed to him. So he's passing it to me. He said, leave the money alone, leave the women alone, and stick with the word. Leave the money alone, leave the women alone. And then he was lovingly honest with me. I had a chance to speak one time, thought I did such a great job. He said, good job, great introduction. Kind of long introduction. And then I sat back. He's like, "Now, what are you getting upset for?" I was like, "Okay, I got you, Pastor, I got you." Basically, what he was trying to do is help me be better at what I was doing, and that I was falling behind him to do as my under his tutelage. And then, lastly, I had another buddy. He was an older man. As a matter of fact, he was about the same age. I was retiring from the military. And I was giving my little speeches. They were giving me my little retirement gifts, family and attendance and everything. Some of my church friends, old buddies and stuff. But being in the military, we have a tendency to use cuss words. So here I am using a couple of those four-letter words, like I'll say something and then start talking about when I was in the military. And this person we used to, he was a friend of mine, was in Germany and all of that. And I say a certain word about something we did. And this older guy who was a mentor of mine, he told me, I need you to do something about them four-letter words.
Mm.
After I got done. I don't want to make y'all think I was cussing through the whole thing. It's just that, to be honest, on the sidebar, sometimes if I'm golfing, I don't know if you ever golfed before, and you doing good and you hit a bad shot and you can't find your ball and you on your way to a good score and you just ruin your score. The first thing before you know it, God blanket. But then you catch yourself because a golf course is an easy place to throw some stuff out there, boy. I'm telling you, because it will turn from fun into a frustration real quick if you like to play. But anyway, he told me I'm gonna need you to watch those four-letter words,
Mm.
and I felt embarrassed and exposed at the same time. But I needed that to correct my behavior going forward. And I could no longer use it as an excuse because if you're in the Army or the Air Force, you're around people that cuss all the time. And you grow up in that environment and it's no excuse. You find yourself doing the same thing. Because I had one of my other supervisors, he said, "You're starting to sound like these soldiers over here cussing all the time," because we Air Force worked with Army when I was in Germany. But I needed my behavior corrected because my family was there, my wife was there, my kids were there. I had church members, some of the deacons and stuff came, to support me. People who I worked with in the past, my a colonel who was now a commander that we worked together in the past. And I thought about that. I was like, I should have probably not used those words. But the thing is, him being a mentor of mine and we had built a relationship and him having to tell me, I need you to do something about them four-letter words, got my attention, which goes back to what I said that a friend cares about your character more and spiritual growth more than making me comfortable.
That's right.
So I'll go back to the jumpstart question. Just and you can come in your own way. I just wanted to throw this question out there, but I thought it was a good question. Yeah, think about a man that made you a better follower of Christ. What did he do, and what kind of friend was he that made that difference in your life? So, with that, I'll relinquish my speech with no curse words and turn it back over to you guys.
What's up? What's up, fellas?
All right.
What's up,
all
Eric?
right.
What's going on, man?
There's a couple of men. There was one in particular when I started played soccer first, and then I played baseball, and then I went to football, then I went to basketball, then football. But there was this black gentleman that kind of took me in knowing my situation. I don't know how he came about. I don't know if I think my aunt went to school with his oldest son or something like that. And he kind of took me in. And it wasn't necessarily about talking about God, the Father. However, he taught me about compassion and empathy
Mm-hmm.
because he took me in. He had 4 kids of his own, but he took me in right along like I was one of his. And that always stuck with me, not knowing that that was preparing me for blended families.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't dawn on me until Darren, you start talking. I'm like, wow, that was his place in my life for a reason. He died shortly after. I can't remember what he died from, but I still talk to, my brothers and sisters till this day. I still talk his wife till this day. She's still living. So that taught me not about God in a sense, but it taught me about love and
Okay.
compassion, which is God. So then there's a one that I call Pops. I still talk to him. Him and mom, they just built a new house. He retired out of education and this and that. And he was my basketball coach. And when I got in trouble right after high school, he said, come home. You need to come stay with me. Mama said, you need to come stay with me, trying to keep me out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about God. They talked about, they talked about his love, his grace. You need to do this. You can't be doing that. Uh, you want to be in alignment with the Father. You don't want to be, he called it out there in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, you know, I was I was their first child. And when I came to stay with them, mama was pregnant with my little brother at the time. And when he was born and everybody's working and doing their thing, they left him with me. She was so secure and safe knowing that I was going to protect him. So they taught to me about God's how to live godly. Also taught me fatherhood,
Mm-hmm.
just like the other coach did. But I was brought in out of the cold, and they loved me just like they had me. And I never forgot that. And when I got to the league, I remember my first year of Christmas, I loaded the house up. So they retired now. He works for the school board in Florida, and they built this 3-bedroom brand new house from the ground up. And my wife and I and mom, we had to go to a funeral there. So we stayed with them. And I remember when they called me in the room, they said, son, here. They gave me a key. I said, oh, you want me to use this key while I'm here? She said, no, that's your key. This your house. So it didn't go over my head. I just didn't embrace it. So when we
Right.
left, I left the key in the drawer. So we had to come back like 3 weeks later. We stayed there again. And I'm letting them know we're on our way. And she said, you got the key? And I can hear Pops in the background. Son, you better have your key. I said, no, I left the key. He said, why did you leave that? That's your key. This is home for you. And this will always be home. So just the love of God,
Mm-hmm.
the compassion and the empathy and the not sacrificing of their children, but making room for me. Now, they knew I go to battle for people I love,
Right.
regardless of what people do for me. But just to embrace me like that was all about God's love. And it wasn't until late on in life that I realized that that was preparing me for this time in my life. They came to my wedding. You know, they've always been there for me. So those are the men. And Darren, I hope I answered the question. And it was God driven and God all in it. You know, we didn't necessarily talk about what the word says, what this says. They just gave me some overall pointers and say this is how you need to live.
I like that. Eric, I got you explained it great
Yes.
as far as I'm concerned. Um, I got a couple of things stood out that you said, and I just want to ask you a couple of follow-up questions if that's okay. Um, when you said you was out there and he said you need to come home,
Mm-hmm.
how did that make you feel? And now to this very day, how does it make your wife feel? Did it make her feel like she a true daughter-in-law?
It's funny you asked that question because as you was posing that question, the answer was coming into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
For him to say come home because I never felt like I was ever at home. No matter
Mm-hmm.
where I was. I'd have been married twice. I wasn't home.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in other situations. That wasn't home.
Mm-hmm.
For him to say that and for them to embrace me as such prepared me for coming home.
Yes.
Now I recognize what home is. You know, you can't say you know something until you know something.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That
You
makes
have to experience some things. You have to experience love to know what love really is.
Mm-hmm.
You have to become, you have to be put in those situations. You have to be introduced to that so that when it comes, you know it's real.
Yeah.
And it's funny you asked that question because I knew you knew where you was going.
Yeah.
And I've never said this out loud. I've said I'm home, but I've never connected it to him saying that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Now I know what home looks like. I know
Right.
what love looks like. I know what unconditional love, because I did some things that some other people wouldn't have allowed me to be around their kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I would hurt them, however, that I'm going to hurt somebody over them,
Yeah.
which in turn can still put that child in a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I was their child. I'm still their child. I just talked to them a couple of weeks ago, and it's just reflecting on life now and looking how God was putting things in place and how He was planting seeds through others to get me ready for my own harvest. Yeah, it's that's special to me.
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Now, how
So
you now when your wife goes there, your wife, you recently married guy. Did she how did she feels like a daughter-in-law, like she's just as welcome as you are?
Oh, absolutely. So,
I
and
know I'm going deep on you, but
hey, and that's fine.
I'm doing it for a
I,
reason.
I think I've said this before, how God has brought things full circle, that my wife and I dated when we was in high school,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about life and all that. So at the time, I'm out of my mind, but I needed to go through this process. My first wife was involved. And I remember when somebody told her I had got married. We was kind of separate. We separated.
Mm-hmm.
And she called the house looking for me. And my mama answered the phone. She said, honey, you know he married. So when we finally got together for the first time before we got married, I brought that up. And mama looked at me like, oh, I remember that. And she said, I am so sorry because you should have been the first and the last. So she feels very welcome. And there's a backstory to that question that I might share later
Okay.
because she hasn't felt that love from the other side like that. Even though she's not biologically my mother, she's my mother. She gonna go
Right.
to bat. She gonna go to bat for her. She gonna go bat for her area. She gonna do
Yeah.
whatever she need to do to make sure he good. So and protect him. So she feels that family, that love, that acceptance, that embrace, as she is their child as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
that,
you for
Eric, man.
asking
That's
that. Thank you for asking me that question because that is some stuff that I need to add to the book.
Yeah.
You
okay.
know, I done had so many things in my life and so many experiences that you don't forget. They just put away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for the locker room because the locker room brings forth those things that have been put on the shelf that
Mm-hmm.
don't need to
hmm
be on the shelf. They need to be dusted off and put out center forward because that is the testimony, and the life in that testimony will bring life to someone else.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you asking me that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
You come
you
you,
you
you
will
you come a
also.
little bit heavy and you come back lighter than you came, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All
And I
right,
was
Joe. I'm sorry.
just thinking too out loud, Eric. I hear you say you feel at home. Okay, what does that mean for you? You say you feel at home now. Um, I was just, are you
What
feeling at home here or just where you are now?
I
I hope I'm making
oh,
sense.
both. So home here, physically, I'm talking about home because
Okay,
it feels like home,
right.
not being in a place or in four walls with a roof over it, saying family this and family that, and calling it a home, but it really not feeling like a home. To me, a home is an indication of a home full of solutions, a home full of accountability, a home full of responsibility, a home full of unconditional love.
Yes.
Now, we all are broken and we're gonna step on that nail a couple of times in our lifetime, even when we're in a different place, a level of maturity when it comes to God. But when I was talking about home here, I was talking about a physical feel of safety,
Mm-hmm.
peace,
Yes.
harmony.
Yes.
The other home is the home in me and being at peace with me, surrendering to the Father, because no matter where I go now, I am always at home.
That yeah. It's like um and I don't know if this is out of order, but I've said it's awakening to a new birth or awakening period. It's like we're born, um, and it's a statement that says there's two births in your life, and the first one is the physical birth, but
Mhm.
then there's a second birth, and you know that's the awakening. That's your second birth.
Correct.
And that's, I guess you would say, that's the why you are truly here.
Absolutely.
Waking
Uh,
up to that. And I hear you saying that prepared you without you even knowing it to where you are today.
That's why I always say everything in my life, no matter how gloomy, no matter how nasty, how terrible, how sad, how whatever negative adjective you want to use to describe an event in your life, it all has great purpose.
Yeah.
It all has great value. And we never know what God has up his sleeve until he show us his arm.
Okay.
He show
That's
us his
good.
hand. And when we see his hand in our lives, as we reflect, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I was with a group today and we was talking, and we was talking about you're a believer, but yet, not however, but yet you're a believer, but you're still having this issue, but you still having the same issue, but you choose this over your intimacy and your relationship with God, but yet you're a believer. So how can you be in lack of something if you're a believer? How can you be without something, or how can you even desire something if you're a believer? Because it says he'll give us the desires of our heart.
Absolutely.
So that means he knows what's best for us better than we know what's best for ourselves.
Absolutely.
But when you surrendering and you truly are in alignment and truly believe, everything else is like okay, I see what that is.
Right.
Let me, it's like Frogger, the game, the old Atari game Frogger with flying
Right.
across the street, dodging the cars. It's like, oh, that's easy now because all I gotta do is step left because he goes some that's gonna run over me.
Right.
And when you're in alignment, you shouldn't be in lack of anything.
Right.
Now, that's easier said than done, but I think it boils down to just this. And Darren, you said this earlier. When you truly trust and surrender,
Mm-hmm.
everything else is a plus. No matter how bad it is, no matter how good it is. Because nothing is never as good as it seems, and nothing is never as bad as what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Eric,
So,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, finish.
no, go ahead.
Um, sometimes that surrender, I don't know why we don't, it's like you just don't want. Sometimes you fight that surrender, and then after you surrender, you look at how easy it is after you surrender, and you ask yourself, why didn't I just surrender in the first place? Why am I kicking against the prick? You know what I'm saying? And then
Mm-hmm.
you said something else, man, about as a believer, you shouldn't really be wanting, right, Harlan, control. You
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
wanting for anything. If
That's
you
right.
go back to the Bible where it says he owns a cattle on 1,000 hills, so why
Yeah.
we walk around here as a believer? I'm talking primarily physical, but it's everything, spiritual, emotional, everything. But if he owns everything, why are we walk around here wanting for anything?
Why we
Well,
tripping? Why
yeah.
why
Yeah.
we
Why are we
tripping?
tripping?
Why
That's a
we
better way to say
yes?
it.
Yeah.
Why we going crazy, worrying ourselves to death over something that we have access to anyway?
We
That's
don't
right.
want to let go. Yeah. Um, and you said something else, and I'm kind of remembering what you and Joe both said. You said about God showing his arm.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times he showed his arm, and I didn't like what I saw
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I've been in at least two or three jobs that I was led to go to and felt like he was leading me to those jobs. But if I had been going about where Darren wanted to go, after I found out where he was sending me, I wouldn't have gone. And I'm glad he didn't show me his arm until I got there because it made things better for me in the long run because I followed what he told me to do. And
Yeah.
that's why, he does a lot of things in the background and working things out for our own good that we don't always see. And we probably ain't gonna never see.
Yeah, and that's why to me surrendering is trust. Is
Mm. Oh,
trusting
yeah.
the process, not worrying about the outcome because really the outcome is already taken care of. It's the
And it,
process,
yeah.
it's the process where the lessons are learned the process is where intimacy is grown and enhanced. Because when you surrender, there's a level of trust. Harlan said control. You giving up total control, and you're not giving up control because you can't control it. You don't control nothing anyway.
Not anyway.
That's right.
Only thing you truly control is your thoughts.
Yes, that's
You
right.
control, you have a choice to control surrendering. You have a choice to control, I'm gonna walk with him or I'm gonna walk in here in the dark.
That's right.
That's the control that we should be focusing on, and that's an inward thing. And
Yeah.
when you control just that and you surrender and give up
Mm-hmm.
that control, trying to figure out things on your own, or you gonna make this happen, you gonna make that happen. Now, there's nothing wrong with goals. There's nothing wrong with admiration. There's nothing wrong by being the best version of yourself, because that's not what I'm talking about. Because
Mm.
even being the best, being the best athlete and going to train, I still don't have no control, but I have to do what it is that I'm called to do. I have to prepare my body and my mind for whatever it is that I need to get done. However, I still don't have control. I told somebody the other day, as a player and as a coach, we don't practice to get ready for the game. The practice is the game.
That's right.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
game is just an after effect. It's an extension of the preparation. It's the extension of the lessons that you learn throughout the week to get ready for the game. You don't want to think about what to do in the game. So the game is really practice. And that's where you learn lessons. That's where you're sharpened.
Man, boy, yo, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm trying not to talk to, but I'm really enjoying this, man. Because Eric, I probably told y'all this before. When I was in high school playing high school ball, we'd be done with practice, ready to go home, get in that locker room, get out of there, because we dog tired. But before we go, he'd always make us. This was when I was in 11th grade. He'd make us do that 5 minute bleacher run up and down, up and I mean, our tongues hanging out, we sweating, man, and be glad it's over. And then we'll get in a game. It's like 2 minutes left, and we might
And
be,
you got this burst of energy.
yeah, we be
Yeah.
panting a little bit. But he said, "You remember when we was running and some of y'all were cutting corners, going up down them bleachers?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "That's why you're tired." He said, "Now you know why you run those 5 minutes up and down those bleachers." And then a minute ago, you mentioned something about thoughts, and when you was talking about um, surrender, it made me think about we have to let him get in those thoughts too, because the old people say he's a mind regulator. You have to let. And then Joe, and I'm gonna say one more thing, and we'll go around the room.
And that's true. And that's true surrender.
Yes,
That's
yes,
true surrender.
yes.
When you
Yeah,
when you
'cause
give your thoughts to him, when you take
Yeah.
him captive and give in to
Yeah.
him,
That's right.
that's true surrender.
Yeah.
Yep, because now I got to the place now, I'll be getting ready to think something, and because I did surrender, he'll remind me that I ain't supposed to be thinking what I'm thinking right now.
That's
Mhm.
right.
So yeah, think about what you're thinking about.
Mhm.
And then Joe, and then I'll be finished. Joe, you talked a minute. I had to go back to this because you were saying you got two births.
Mm-hmm.
You made me think about Nicodemus. I think it's Nicodemus, when you born once, and then Jesus told him you need to be born again, and he misunderstood it. And he said, how can a man go back in his mama room twice? And didn't Jesus say something to the fact that, but you supposed to be like knows all of this and that, but you
Yeah.
don't understand what I'm talking about. You got to be born again spiritually.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me think of that when you were saying that. So I'm done. Y'all go ahead, man.
You're
I'm
not
enjoying
done.
this.
No,
I'm
you're
really
not
enjoying
done.
this.
But it was and Brother Shaw making up a lot of points in there, and one of them that I want to bring back to the table was the thought that there's no lack in the kingdom.
None.
Zero. There's no lack. How can you lack in the kingdom? And God is God of all and everything. So there's no lack in that. And I think sometimes we think that way, but our thinking is messed up. And we was talking about sometimes And most of the time, Darren, you was talking about as well, them thoughts. The thing about it is we have to have his thoughts. And so we have to observe our thoughts. We can't follow them, we observe them. And some of them need to pass over and give it over to God. And that's is working on oneself to realize I don't move on my thoughts. I have to align my thoughts with his thoughts, or his thoughts become my thoughts. And that way we know we're in the flow, we're in alignment with God to say, God, what are we going to do today? And that is constant. That's a constant thing. But we have to get rid of the thought that there's lack. There are only time you have lack is when you have lack thoughts. Your thoughts of lack. But you need to change that and understand it's the God of all. And we've said it before. God, in the mind of God, God do not have problem. His worst problem and some of the things we do hurt him more than anything else. And once we learn, he probably shaking his head. He's, oh gosh, that go Brother Joe again. I done told that boy that he ain't got to do all this or whatever. So I think it's coming into the knowledge of that, and that's part of the growth. As Eric said, that's part of the process. And when we talk like this, again, it's kind of like what Eric said, it brings back some things that happened with us that was actually some growth we didn't grasp at the time, but now it's kind of like I can see clearly now the rain is gone or the darkness or whatever that is. But anyway, that was some thoughts that he brought to my attention along with some others. So we're going to bring Brother Harlan in there.
What you say?
I say, I know you. We feel your energy, brother.
Help us out, man.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out which part I wanted to come in on this.
Get all of them, Harlan. All of them.
When we look at men and just going back, I'm going to go back to the actual topic part where you said the power of male friendships. When I think about, and then you ask the question, what man made a difference and what did he do? I learned everything in reverse. When I look back at my life, all I can see is who wasn't there when it comes to men. And so as I grew older, I realized, if I was raised with my dad, then probably would have been messed up. Uncles, dads, they were all the same. Men at church, they were just at church. They didn't go further than that. They didn't come out, side or, check on us, see how we're playing together, see what we're doing, see if we need anything, or see, they know we live in single parent homes. They didn't ask if we needed to know anything. Growing up, teenage, everything is changing. Nobody steps up and asks the questions. Do you have questions? Do you need to know how to do this? Do you know how to, help this around the house? Or do you know how to help your mom do this? Or do you know how to do this for yourself? Or, hey, if you need to learn this, I'm here to teach you. So there was none of that. And so I learned very early that relationship is very important. And most people don't have a clue what that means. Most pastors don't know what relationship is. Most people don't know what relationship is. People think that when you're talking to someone, they're looking at you and they think that you're thinking exactly what they're thinking. And so when you're talking to men, and a man hear you, let's say, for example, you're talking about being faithful to your wife. He's looking at you side-eye because he thinks that you think like him, because he's thinking about having multiple women. He's thinking about things like cheating and getting away with things. So when you're talking to him about loving one woman and being faithful to her, he doesn't it's like you're speaking a whole nother language. It's like Bible, because he doesn't get that, because people think that you're thinking like them.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at you and they're sizing you up. The one thing that I thank God is I never looked at people and tried to figure them out. I never look at people and I don't try to get to know you through someone else's opinion or someone else's prepped shaping of who you are. I look at you for what and get to know you for myself. And, so many times, when you're talking to men, we're talking about having friends and having friends of faith. Even in the body of Christ, men are still the same way. They don't do what, the things that we're doing right here. And that's just having good, honest to goodness, godly, structural conversation that, benefits each other and those who are listening. So even when you walk into a group of men who say they love God, they're still sizing you up, trying to see what box they can put you in. Because see, they already have God in a box. And then they're trying to put you in a box. And if you don't fit those boxes, they're not comfortable with you. And so I've never had men like that because I don't fit the box. I don't fit the clique. I don't fit with the clique of pastors who like to trade preaching engagements. I don't fit any of those boxes. I'm not a groupie. I don't idolize men. I don't idolize celebrities. I don't idolize anything. And so I don't fit what people's compartmentalization wants to put each person that walks in the room into. Well, I can put this person right here. Or I can put this person right. That's what people want. They want to be able to compartmentalize you.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to be able to see where they can benefit, why they should talk to you. And I'm talking about believers. We already know what the world does. But as believers, men still put themselves on an island. The reason that we see men fall from faith and all these different things, whether it be to adultery, whatever it is because they don't have these friends. They don't have that guy that
Right.
we looked at. They don't have the guy with the honest feedback, the safe correction, and the protection. They come to meetings and whatever group gatherings, worship, men's meetings, men's groups, whatever we're doing, whether we're at the shooting range, the bowling alley, cookout, whatever, they're still being fake instead of just being authentic and just getting to know people. They're still trying to be around you, but still living on an island,
Mm-hmm.
trying to pretend that they have everything okay, and then thinking that you're thinking the same way that they're thinking, which doesn't allow us to be friends. There's no way that we can build relationship if you're sitting there looking at me side eyes, trying to figure out if if I actually am who I am presenting myself to be. Or are you waiting for something else to show up? Like, because you're fake, you're thinking that I'm going to be fake.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're different at home, you're different at the gym, or you're different at the worship center, you're figuring I am too. And so, in my experience, unfortunately, for me, it's the same. It's been the same. And I think I've shared with you guys before. It's been the same as, it was no different in, the people in Hollywood as the people that are in the church. It still clicks. It's still, I'm not delivered. I'm this, that, or the other. People are only anointed when they get the microphone. Well, I don't. That's not me. I'm the same guy at Walmart, at worship center, at the gym,
That's right.
at work, at home. I don't change. I don't
Right.
have a chameleon suit, and so that makes people uncomfortable. And so for me, I would say one of the only real men is my pastor that I have now. I can't say that I've run across real, you know. And that's why I didn't fit, because I am authentic. I don't change. I don't move. I'm not this guy this day and this guy tomorrow. You're gonna see the same guy every time. And so because I don't fit those molds, those boxes, those things of, I'm not living a life of iniquity and all these different things, that made the pastors and preachers I'm around uncomfortable, because they still doing things. They still walking in iniquity. And so that when and you to be around someone who's not doing that, that's not comfortable, because hey, he might tell on what we're doing. And so I never fit any of those places, any of those boxes. And so, but my pastor that I have now speaks life into me. He sees me. He's not threatened by me. He's not competing with me. Every other pastor I've ever had, or church, affiliations, ministries, or whatever, they were always threatened by me. I'm not here to take your members. I'm not here to do anything, but worship it. So we really have to. This authenticity thing about is really, very important with building relationships. We can't be afraid to build relationships. When I meet you, I'm not trying to figure out what compartment you fit in. You don't need to. You can't fit into any box. I'm not trying to put you in one in my brain. But when you walk into a room, you can immediately see people trying to size you up and see where they're going to put you.
That's right.
And I've just learned to ignore those things, even from my youth, because there is no box for me. There is no box for God, and so what I have now is a real man who speaks life to me, who sees me and not trying to worry about whether or not I'm going to be greater than him, or compete with what he calls his son. you know um it's authentic.
Yeah.
And so men before in my life, they all fail. So I had to learn. By now I understand, as I became born again. Then when I look back at my life, I can see, oh, that's why my dad couldn't do this, or that's because God wanted to raise me with his own hand.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't allow those other people to mess me up and have me thinking about things that don't benefit myself, nor the kingdom, nor a family, nor anybody else. Because what I saw in the world, unfortunately, even growing up, I saw those same things in the church. And I'm like, what are we doing? That doesn't make sense. Why are we doing that? That's not helping anybody. I don't see anybody getting set free. I don't see anybody getting healed. I don't see community. I don't see any of those things. I just see services. And so I don't those things never made sense to me. And so I believe that God wanted to raise me with his own hand. So um I really, when it comes to those things, when we talk about that, the question that Darren asks, I didn't have that till now. And so all those years, the Holy Spirit was teaching me. So I had God. I'm saying I didn't have a physical man. The things that I learned to be as a man, as a husband and father, all those, God had to teach me those things. I didn't have any examples. I didn't have any physical examples. And even the men in church I didn't know how they were living their lives. Again, we didn't, you saw them in worship, but I mean, they're totally different than the way that I operate. I'm in the community. All the kids in the neighborhood know me. I don't just sit in when my kids are outside playing when they were that age. I'm outside too. And so all the other kids know. So it's like, okay, I'm the dad of the neighborhood, because I'm going to make sure everybody's okay. But we didn't grow up with the men. They were in the house, but they were doing their own thing. They weren't checking in and make sure we were playing fair or we were treating each other right or we were being safe. A lot of things happened because we were left alone. And so when I learned by what they didn't do. So I had to learn things in reverse by what was absent. I had to learn by looking at what my mom didn't have, what she didn't have help with, what I didn't have help with, my brothers and sisters. And so learning those things based on what we would call reverse psychology or whatever, I had to learn everything that way. I had to learn it because, God had to show me, but it wasn't because there was a person there to do that. I mean, I was latchkey from 5. I mean, I think about the way I grew up. Not that it was horrible, it just wasn't good. And when I say that, it wasn't something that I would dare allow to happen with my kids.
That's right.
My parents were at work already. My siblings were older than me. I was a latchkey kid. I'm 5 years old, coming home by myself. That's something I can't even imagine my daughters doing. And so, I had to learn everything fast.
Yeah.
And I mean, it worked out good for my life and my family. I mean, when I got old enough to move out and all those type of things, I mean, I moved out from home at 19 but and I didn't have to call home and say, Mom, how do you do this? How do you do that? Because I had been doing it all my life.
Yeah.
And so to now have that man in my life and to have, brothers like you guys, that's a first. Now I'm not talking about my biological brother and I, we're like that, but I'm talking about men who were there to teach us. We didn't have that. And we just had to learn, and we had to make decisions. We had the choices. We had the options to do the wrong things, to lie, steal, cheat, and kill. We had those same options as other people, but we chose not to. And so to have friends who are faith with friends and the power of male friendship, we need that, because a man on an island is dangerous.
That's right.
A man in his own head, his own mind, is very dangerous. A man out of the presence of God is a dangerous man. And we need men who can be honest with us, give us true, safe correction, and protect us. Darren, don't do that, man. You remember who you are. Joe,
That's
don't
right.
don't walk that way, man. You think about who you are and what you represent. If we don't have people in our lives who we allow to hold us accountable, and you cannot hold someone accountable that you don't have relationship with.
That's
I
right.
cannot hold you accountable if we don't have relationship. If we don't spend time together and we're not building that relationship, I can't hold you accountable.
That's right.
That's not even possible. That means, people can say, well, I know such a, no, you don't know. If you don't spend time with them, you don't know them.
That's right.
You know who they are. You know of them. If I don't spend time with you, I don't know you.
That's
And
right.
I cannot call you on something if we don't have that type of relationship. And so
Right.
those relationships keep us from the enemy. When the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sin, he's not talking about it covers it up like it didn't happen. He's talking about when you have people in your life who love you, they're going to tell you the truth.
Absolutely.
And that's going to keep you from doing those foolish things that you shouldn't be touching that. Darren, how you going to go to the strip club? You married, man. What we doing? We believers. Get over here and sit down somewhere. We can't say that to each other if we don't have relationship.
That's right.
If we don't have that relationship, if I say that to you, you're not going to pay attention to what I'm saying.
No.
But if we're friends, we're brothers, we love each other, we know we're authentic, we have real relationship, we can say whatever we need to say to each other. And that is what keeps us. That's what helped when we all saw all these different things, movements going on a couple years ago, whatever, with all the different pastors, these mega pastors, falling and all this stuff. It's because they don't have real, authentic spiritual fathers and spiritual brothers. They just trading places. You come preach for me, I'll come preach for you.
Right.
It's just a bunch of nonsense. And so that's why people fall, because you don't have real relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get around men that are real and you're not ready to be real, you're not going to keep coming around us, because that don't feel right to you, because it feels strange
Yes, sir.
to see men be honest
Mm-hmm.
and true and not hiding things, and actually care about you and actually care about their families and life. And to a person who's not ready to be real, they can't stay
Mm-mm.
around us, guys. They can't be in the same room with us, because we're too authentic, and they're still hiding, and we're all wide open. We're talking about the things in our lives, things we've come through, things we've
Right.
been through, mistakes we've made, bad decisions, things that have happened. We're being too honest. And if they're
Mm-hmm.
not ready for that, we're talking a foreign language to them,
That's right.
and they can't handle that. And so that's why some people, when they come around you, you got too much light shining around you. They're trying to hide.
Right.
Yeah.
They want that dimness. They don't want the true light.
Right.
That's right.
Hmm.
And so when we have men that we can have real authentic relationship with, that saves us from a whole lot of unnecessary foolery, unnecessary things we going through. When we have a safe place to go to talk about things, it changes everything. And those men that are still in those caves, those are the ones that God is still saying, Adam, where are you? Show up.
Mm-hmm.
Show up, son. Listen. Ask for instruction. Ask me for wisdom. Listen. You need brothers. You need brothers of the faith. Iron sharpens iron. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's it's very important. We see men every day, and I see them. We all see them
Mm-hmm.
at church, at the store, wherever we are. We all see them, and they're hiding, and that's why we see them on the news, because they don't know that they need to be in real, authentic, faith-based, brotherly relationships, to whereby God can speak to them through their brother. And if you don't know people, how are you going to call someone when you need help? And so that's us. Being on an island is not a place where we need to be. We need to be in the midst of brothers who are real and authentic, and who love God, and whom we can build true, strong relationships with. And that's how we walk through this life, arm in arm. We can't do it by ourselves.
That's right.
Everyone needs Jesus and counseling. We need to be surrounded by mentors, coaches, brothers, teachers, those who have gone further than us, those who are looking up to us, and those who are we're about on the same level here, but we need all those levels in order for us to do this life and do it right, with the way that God wants us to, because He didn't make us where we go to worship by ourselves. We don't go to the gym by ourselves. If you go to the gym by yourself, you're not getting the same workout as you did if you had two partners. You need spotters. There's a
Hmm.
reason we have spotters.
Hmm.
If we could throw all that weight up by ourselves, man, that would you go on that team if you want to. It's 11 guys out there. Go out there, you one, see how far you get.
That's right.
We're made to have a team. That's your family, your friends, everybody you call your family.
Mm-hmm.
We need it, and so that's the importance of that. And I could go, but I'll stop.
Hey, I got one more question for you, though, Harlan, on a couple something that you brought up about not having a father. But first, you said something about other pastors and ministers and whatnot. and how they make that assumption that you thinking the same thing. And it made me think how making assumptions for anybody is a very dangerous thing to do.
Yeah.
I read this book. I don't know if you guys heard of it. It's called The Four Agreements. I don't know if you ever read it, but when I first started reading, I didn't think he was going in the direction I thought he would go because he was going in another spiritual type direction. And I was like, well, only spiritual direction I think about is Jesus Christ himself. But after I read the book and it got to the end, he was talking about what it boiled down to as having a higher power, meaning God who you follow. But the four agreements he was talking about was be impeccable with your word when you saying things. Don't take it personal because when you taking things personal, when people telling you stuff, you don't know where they really coming from, whether they trying to make you feel offended or not. They may have their own issues. So don't automatically just take things personal. And that one that I just said, don't make assumptions and always do your best.
Hmm.
Those four things. But that assumption part is the one what made me think about that, the book that I read. But then the next thing, Harlan, I wanted to ask you, you said you was raised um kind of with the cart before the horse, so to speak. And I just wanted to ask you, because I grew up, with my mother and father. And I kind of learned, picked up, I'm gonna do this, but I'm not gonna do that. I saw daddy do it like this. I didn't like the way daddy did. I'm not gonna do that then. And in my home life, even though I had both parents, at times felt broken, even though I had both of them, especially toward the end when my mother and father broke up and got a divorce. But the question I wanted to ask you though was being that you didn't have your father, and I know you've been married over 30 something years, how difficult or not difficult or difficult what it was when you got into marriage and you start raising your own children, not having that father that you can model after. You know what I'm saying? Did you find it was a struggle? Am I making sense? I hope I'm
Well,
making sense. Was
no,
it
I
was it
got
a
you.
struggle for
So,
you trying to raise a family and raise your kids, trying to learn basically on your own because you didn't have that father figure? You know what I'm saying?
no, it wasn't because literally God taught me.
Mm.
Okay.
Um, but growing up, I was not like isolated from anything. So I already had the experience of helping take care of younger cousins,
All right.
and
Okay.
all the things. So like when I got married and we started having kids and stuff like that, we didn't have to have my mom or my mother-in-law come and stay with us or anything like that. I know how to do everything because I have been
Hmm.
doing it. I've been cooking since I was 5.
Okay. Okay.
My mom hadn't washed my clothes since I was 6. My wife has never had to do my laundry ever. So by the time I was 10, I was cooking for my whole family. I was already paying bills as soon as I was old enough to work. So I mean, I was getting up with my grandparents at 4 or 5 years old, plowing and behind that old mule Joey and planting and harvesting and all those. So I worked
Right.
all my life and I saw my grandfather work. So I had work ethic and I was paying attention.
Yeah.
Right.
I was
Right.
paying it. My mom said I was a little old man. She said, "Son, you ask questions all the time." And so I was learning. I was seeing. I was like, okay, that right there, what you just said. Okay, what Harlan, what your dad is doing, don't do that. Because I only knew my dad from coming home from work, shower, go back out, clubbing, gambling, drinking, whoring, and then come back home and raise hell with my mom and want to fight her and want to whip us for anything. So I had to learn from paying attention to what he's doing. Harlan, don't do that. So instead of, I didn't have to build my life on thinking about what he was doing and like, holding that, using that as some type of measuring thing. No, just, okay, don't do that. And,
Hmm.
you know, um, just, paying attention and learning things and just understanding. Harlan, make the correction, you know? And so with all those experiences of helping raise other kids and seeing so many different things growing up, um, and learning things, I really just learned it in reverse,
Yeah.
and it was just by the grace of God. I give him all credit because I know now, I understand he was raising me with his own hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because had my dad raised me, we probably would have either we would have not made it. We
Right.
it would not have worked
Okay.
at all. And so that was my saving grace, was that the fact that my parents were divorced by the time I was 6. So because I was too much of a fighter to live with my dad and allow him to continue to abuse my mom, we would have not one of
Mhm.
us would have not been here, or he would have put me out or something, but I wouldn't have gone for that. And so I know that God raised me with his own hand. And I had to, my mom had to help me get rid of the rage from my dad, because that would have, ruined my life too. So, those things just really and that's why I always tell people, paying attention, awareness. If you can do that, if you can learn how to pay attention and make the correction, and being able to forgive and let go, and learn the lesson and move forward. And
Mm-hmm.
you truly have to drop all the weight, all the baggage,
Yeah.
everything that wasn't right. You've got to leave it. You learn from it and leave it where it is, and don't try to pick it up and take it with you, because it doesn't belong in your life. Everything that's wrong and bad, it doesn't belong. And so when we need these relationships, and my dad, we were okay, growing up after he left the house and stuff, and after I got older, I never held those things against him or anything like that. My mom taught me to always respect him, always love him, obey, and all those things. Um, and so it worked out. I just didn't pick up any of the negative things.
Yeah. Um, I know we talk about faith with a friend and the power of male friendships, but you and Eric just proved something about friendship, and that is what you just hit the nail on the head, said that you learned from God Himself. Then the thing is, what a friend we have in Jesus.
Yeah,
That's
come
exactly
on.
right. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
anyway,
That's when.
and I'm just praying, and the reason I ask you that, because I'm praying that, if somebody's on here that's listening that may have similar situation or went through that didn't have a father, they might be listening, and there might be some golden nuggets that they can pick up that may be able to help them. And I,
Well, what I see every day is people don't know how to let go.
right,
And we talk about it here, but a lot of people are having these conversations, and people are 60, 70, 80, 90 years old still mad at their parents. You got to forgive your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You got to let everything in the past. You got to let it go. There's no future holding on to yesterday. It was a lesson. Yesterday was a lesson. You got to see it for that.
That's
And
right.
because we can't build those relationships, that's why so many men don't trust God, because they had such horrible fathers. And when we say God is a father, they trying to look at God through their dad. And so my dad was a pastor, but he didn't live that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he didn't understand that, he was religious, like, and the fact that he would, I mean, I know your title, but you don't live that. And so, um, when we look at men and having relationship, men, even whether they're believers or unbelievers, they're still doing the same thing. They still don't believe that there's true, authentic men, and
Mm.
they're wearing these masks and these facades, and they don't understand what they're missing. They don't, being in rooms like this or things like, they don't understand what, if they understood what they were missing, then we would have rooms like this everywhere. And I know that a lot of men besides us are working on those things, and there are good things going on, and guys like Stephen starting it at his ministry and stuff like that. You know, it's very necessary, but it's not good enough that we have assemblies. If we don't have authentic relationship, we're just still doing what everyone else would be doing, which is just a service, or it's it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to growing up in ministry. I was in church every time the doors open. I wasn't seeing what I saw when I read the Bible.
That's right.
So that was always confusing to me. It's always, I don't like, this is not it. This is not what I'm reading. What are we doing? And so I didn't see Acts. I didn't see what Jesus is teaching us and telling and commanding us to do. So, we have to, when we come together, doesn't matter if it's two of us, three of us, whatever, we need to build authentic relationships so that we are sharpening one another and we're actually in our lives doing the work that Jesus empowered us to do, and not just, hey, well, we got men, we got together, but what happened? I'm not satisfied until we walk into the hospital and everybody walk out healed, because we walked in there and we said it, we decreed it. Everybody in the psych ward walked out whole.
Yes.
Blind eyes see, the deaf ears. If we're not doing what Jesus did, I'm not satisfied.
Right.
So we can have all the different whatever you can think of. If that's not what we're seeing through our relationships, because I know what happened when Peter and James and John and all those guys were walking somewhere. They said, "Whoa, let's throw him out there. If Peter's shadow hit him, he's gonna be healed." If we ain't doing that, what we doing?
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
I think in all of what and a lot is being said, I think we listen for the voice of the genuine, and the voice of genuine always points towards love. And the thing is, you kept saying the word authenticity, and that, and even in the settings, Harlan, that you've been in different churches and pastors, I think one of the most hated persons is an honest man.
Absolutely, Joe.
And
say that again, Joe. Say that again.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right.
I said that in those settings you find that one of the most hated persons or man is an honest man.
That's absolute truth.
They don't want to deal with you.
No, sir.
And like you say, we should have a journey to the betterment of oneself, but not surrounded by self. Because, like you said, no man is an island. And when you're an island unto yourself, like you said, you are a dangerous person.
Yes, sir.
To you and any, because you're only talking here, right here. And that's not good at all. So, and like you said, Darren, what a friend we have in Jesus.
Yeah.
And there's no church house, and I'm just speaking over that you hadn't heard that coming up. I mean, you used to hear the song. I mean, I did, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that heard that song over the years. And it resonates more today, and it's so true. It is needed. So, yeah, it's a lot that's being felt here. But like you were saying, Harlan, we take it. We come here to take this out on our path every day, and we don't have to give ourselves kudos when we do the things that God would have us to do. We give all the glory to God, and others will see that this person is different. that this person walks different. It's not a contradiction with this person. It's like you say, wherever Harlan is content with Harlan and doing the work of the Father. And that in itself, let people say that about you. You give the glory to God. So anyway, that's some thoughts that I had. We're still talking about Brother Darren is kind of guiding us through this maze of faith with friends, the power of male friendships. And I think a couple other came on. I think I saw Willie came on. Willie, do you have some thoughts on the topic for tonight?
I'm just enjoying listening myself personally.
Okay. All right. Well, we're glad to have you back in the room. Is there anybody else that have comments? Faith with a friend, the power of male friendship. Anybody else?
I have a couple of little words. How y'all doing today?
All
What's
right.
going on, Kyle? What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Darren, you stole the word right out of my mouth when it says what a friend we have in Jesus. Because that's what I was going to talk about when it says faith with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the things that you guys was talking about as far as being a man. I only see men in age. And even in age, I still don't see men sometimes because of the things that they do. Some of the things that you guys have said about not being faithful and the cursing and doing this and doing that and all of those types of things. And so, you know, I had somebody that I looked up to, and he was rotten, but he was good to me, and he taught me how to work. He taught me how to build a house. Taught me responsibilities and all of those types of things. But one thing that I've found as I was growing up, I found that having a faith with Jesus Christ is the most wonderful friend that I could ever have. And when Jesus was on the scene and he had the multitude of people to go follow him, and they followed him not because they wanted to be his friend. They followed Jesus Christ because they wanted to see him do more miracles. And so when they wanted to see him do more miracles, the crowd, they grew and it grew. And he said himself, they're here for the wrong reason. And so when you have a faith with a friend, what reason is your friend hanging around you?
Come on.
Is it because of your popularity? You know, uh, is it the things that, you know, we all have a rich friend. We all have a poor friend. We all have a friend that we think that we look so good and they don't look better than us, but they get more women than we do. What is their secret? So we hang around them to get the scraps because they pull the women in, and so you hang around them just to try to get you a woman. And so, with Jesus, they wanted to see him perform more miracles, and then they had a festival for him and all of these types of things, and they wanted to make him a king. And he said he did not want to be a king. Then they said that they wanted him to do something for him. He said, well, I've gave you manna, but now I feed you by bread. And they did not understand that.
That's right.
But Jesus was telling them no, and they couldn't accept the word no from him. And then you got to be careful with the people who you say that is a friend of yours. faith with a friend, because these people that was following Jesus and they wanted him to be the king and all of that. It wasn't nothing but about 5 days later, those same people that wanted him to be the king and said he was the greatest and all of that, they said, crucify him. Crucify him. The same person who they thought was so marvelous because he was doing miracles and things of that nature. And so you have to be careful about who your friend is. And so even with myself, when I was thinking about this, how is my relationship with Jesus? Is it because I'm asking for healing? I'm asking for prosperity. I'm asking for this and that. I just don't ask just for things for myself. I ask for things for the world as well. I ask for the leadership of the country, no matter who's in the office. Um, I ask for a hedge of protection around Trump when he was ducking and dodging, trying to get on other airplanes and stuff like that. Uh, I don't want anything to happen to him. Uh, I don't want anything to happen to anyone. And
Mhm.
so when you're talking about a friend, what is it that you're looking for in being around that person to be friends with? And I say about myself as far as I don't talk about the music industry a lot, but in the music industry, people look for me because of what they can get. And all of a sudden, I'm not Kyle Collins, I'm Mr. Kyle. And
Yeah.
they call you and they say, hey, can you do this for me? And they try to get this relationship with you because they thinking that I can do something for them that they should be able to do for themselves. They want my connections. They don't want anything to do with me, but I am their best friend. And as long as I can get them connections and give them those numbers and to help them to get to another place. And then the last part of it is the power of male friendship. I have a next door neighbor. I cut my finger. I was in the hospital. And when I got home, he had mowed my yard. I said, man, why did you mow my yard? And he said, because you needed somebody to mow your yard. And with nothing wrong with my lawnmower, I got a riding lawnmower. And he mowed my yard. Then my lawnmower had torn up, and I have this little Honda lawnmower. I don't know if y'all know what a Honda lawnmower is. It's a push mower, and it's only 10 inches long, 10 inches wide.
Right.
And I was out there pushing that lawnmower. And he said, what's wrong with your lawnmower? I said, I'm gonna get it fixed in a couple of days. I said, but I got to get some of this mowed. And so when I went to work and came home, guess what? The yard was mowed. I have another neighbor down the street. The same thing. I can leave. If my yard gets out of hand, they will mow my yard. I had a limb on top of my gate, and it did not look like it was that heavy. And I was going to try to move the limb, and it was getting late. And I said, "Well, I'll cut it up tomorrow." Got back the next day. Guess what? That limb was gone. See, that's power of a male friendship. That's power. See, when I first looked at it, the power of a male friendship. What? Where could I go with that? But if I have power, I have access.
Yeah,
Come on.
that's right.
And then see, then on and the other thing about it is, if you take the power of a male, and that's it, and then you say the friendship, okay. I say all the time, I don't like talking about denominations, but I think we all here have different denominations, right?
Hmm.
And so you have a different denomination. So now why would I want you to try to be my denomination? And why would I want you to try to be my denomination? I don't believe in some things. And what I'm going to say is not actually true, but I'm just giving an example. I don't believe that you should go fishing with a grub. I just don't see that feasible. And I'm gonna go fishing with shrimp. And another person says, well, I'm gonna have chicken liver. Now you're going catfishing. Now shrimp will catch catfish. A grub will catch catfish, but chicken liver will catch a whole lot of catfish, a whole lot of it. But what I'm getting to is that when I'm looking for a friend, I'm not looking for somebody that wants me to be like who they are.
That's
And
true.
I'm not wanting you to be my friend so you can be like who I am. If you rub off on me by what you do and by what you say or how you stand for yourself, then that's the friendship that I'm looking for. That iron that sharpens iron. And I want to be that same counterpart to you as a friendship, but I still want to have power in this friendship. Harlan Carr broke down. I have two or three. I want to let him borrow one. Well, he has a good job. Let him go lease one. That's not power in a male friendship.
One.
We're talking about the power of someone that's in your life that's not your biological brother that you can count on. That if you need to go get a refrigerator and a couch, put it in your house, you have the power of a male friendship that can be able to help you regardless of what your ethnic background is. See, we just when we're talking about I'm not talking about just a black person. My next door neighbor is a white man. And he helps everybody in the community. Everybody. Everybody in the community don't help everybody in the community, but he helps everybody. And that's the power of a male friendship.
Mhm.
And so just like he went on vacation, I mowed his yard. He needed he needed someone to take his truck to the shop, and I picked him up and he said, I'm gonna take you out to eat. And I said, no, you can't take me out to eat. We can go out to eat next week. But I don't want you taking me out to eat because I took you to get your truck fixed. I don't operate in that capacity. And so that is power in a male relationship. And people that I have power of a male relationship, I will name two. Some of you might know them. Joe Turner.
Mhm.
Joe Turner, me and him been friends for a long time. And then I have Jerry Alexander. And anybody know Jerry Alexander? Harlan, that's all he gonna talk about is God.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes, right. That's
all
right.
he talk about is God.
That's
And
right.
then he'll while he's talking, do you know why? Do you know why? I said,
Yeah.
Jerry, just tell me because you see, you looking for a certain answer. And the answer I'm gonna give you, see, you want just go, you preach it to me, preach. And and when he's talking, and why did Jesus walk on the water? I said, Jerry, just tell me why he walked on the water. So if y'all encounter Jerry, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's him. That's
And
him.
so and then once you don't, if you don't want him to talk about Jesus, don't bring him up.
That's right.
That's all I can tell you. Because if you bring up Jesus, he gonna go down through that. He gonna say, "Brother, Jesus woke you up this morning, and Jesus did this, and you know, how's your spiritual life? And you know, are you getting what you getting out of getting what you where you at? He's not trying to get you to come over to his church. Are you getting what you getting? Where
Yeah.
you at? How's the home life? How's with your kids and stuff like that? Can I pray for you? That is him
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
all day in a nutshell. And so I have a friend of faith that I know that I'm not looking for his to anoint me, to set me free, to do all those things. But I am hoping that he will do that for me because I know that even in suffering, there's a time where God works in your life when you want him to work and he doesn't show up. And that's a friend. I'm gonna tell you the reason why come I say that. When he told Lazarus, when Miriam got mad at him because he did when they summoned for him, he showed up 2 days later. They was mad because it would have kept him from dying.
Mm-hmm.
He showed them something more about who he was. He can not only keep somebody from dying, but he can raise somebody from the dead.
That's right.
And I'm like Jared. Jared would say, "Amen, somebody." That's what Jared would say, "Amen, somebody."
That's right.
And so that's what I'm looking for God in my life. Things that I want fits and things that I want done, I want it done on his time because the things that I'm looking through my eye for him to do, he has a greater work if I just be patient and I
Yes.
wait. And I'm gonna leave it right there.
Very good. Very good. Very good, Brother Kyle. We appreciate your input and it was well received. I think we was talking about authenticity. I think it just made itself to the forefront. So we
Yes.
really we appreciate it. And like you said, if anybody knows Jerry Alexander, he gonna talk about the Lord. And whether it draw you or drive you, he's still gonna be talking. And that's the beautiful thing of who he is, you know. Anybody else? You know, we're still talking about faith with friends, the power of male friendships. Anybody else? Lord, this is a beautiful thing. I had jotted down a couple of things right quick that I'll say, and we'll move into closing it out for the night. The Bible shows that a friend's faith has power. That's what we've been talking about. It can bring physical healing and spiritual help to someone in need. Scripture also teaches that friends should lift each other up, share wisdom, and walk together in spiritual truth. This is a story here, the power of intersection and action. Carrying a friend, Mark 2nd, 3rd through the 5th verse. 4 men carried their paralyzed friend to Jesus. Because the house was too crowded, they climbed on the roof and lowered him through the ceiling. Jesus sees their faith and hears the man. You know, we always say a friend in need is a friend indeed. And that's something that's always built. And even in the locker room here, we're building something that I think is wonderful because it has the heart of God here. And I think through these times, that's what is needed. We must continue to come together and have rich dialogue, but keeping it real. I said earlier, it don't have to be, it's not about perfection, but it is about progression. And that's a wonderful feeling. Just want to make sure in closing out, anybody have some thoughts that they really want to say as we move and call it a night? Anyone, please.
Hey, Joe.
Well, I think, go ahead, Dick.
I just wanted to get a quick plug, quick public service announcement about some things going on in our Ultimate Connections Family Outreach Ministry. Men's and for whoever may be listening who may not be totally familiar with us and what we do, this is a part of Ultimate Connections Family Outreach, this men's locker room. But we have other things going on, and we add in some more things. We under the Ultimate Connection Family Outreach, we got Living a Life of Freedom every Wednesday. They have a prayer line. We have a different person in that prayer group that you can log on at noon on Wednesdays, and it starts at 12, and it's only about 10, 15, maybe even no more than about 20 minutes. It's just, you could be at work, you could be in your car, you could be exercising, you could just listen, and it might be something that you want to get involved with that you might feel that will help you, your family, your children, or anybody else. You got Power of Sisterhood, morning meditation, a lot of things that they do. But then we have a program called the Family Readiness Program. And there's some different ministries under that. You got Moms and Daughters Are You Okay, which was a part of Matters of the Heart, formerly known as. And then we have a marriage segment, Covenant Marriages. We got Singles Let's Talk. And we got In Touch Teen Solutions, which is another important ministry that we added, particularly with some of the things that go on with our youth and our young people and our kids in school and things. The only thing you have to do is watch some of the videos that Harlan sends us or some of the things that's going on in the world. So, but what I'm going to do, in case you're interested, I'm going to type in the chat out my number in case you know someone or someone who want to be involved in any of those ministries. And I'm going to type our website on there after my name, and you guys can share it with somebody or somebody on here who may see this later will know that. But if you're interested in any of those ministries, just I'm gonna put my number in there now. Just shoot me a text, give me a call, go to that website, and hopefully we can answer any questions you may have, or you might, if you're in Tyler or whatever, you can reach out to Joe, Harlan, or anybody else, and they can fill you in on some of the things that we're doing, because we're doing some great things going forward, especially when it comes to family and our children and some of the things they're putting up, dealing with in the world. All right. So I'm done with my public service announcement, Joe.
I think Brother Harlan was about to say some things.
I just wanted to, just remind everybody, we're talking about relationship. It's really, really important. Relationship is what gives you access. That's what Kyle was just talking about a second ago. Because you have that relationship, you can do things, some things to do without even talking about it. We don't have relationship. You can't even call your next door neighbor or walk over to him and say, hey, can you help me out mow my yard, or can I borrow some salt or sugar? If you don't have relationships, that's why it's so dangerous in this life when you need help. And if you don't have that relationship, you can't pick up the phone.
That's
and
right.
say, hey, this is going on, and can you help me with this? Your pride won't even let you, because you haven't talked to this person, or that person, whoever it is. It's very important that we keep, especially our good relationships, the ones we know that are right, that we should have. It's very important that we continue to build those and keep them tight, because the fact of the matter is we all need each other. We're made for community. We're not made to do this by ourselves. And if we do that and continue to love on one another, continue to teach men that we need each other, we don't supposed to hide. We need to be open, honest, upfront, and we need to talk to the right men and ask men questions so that we can build our lives in the right way.
All righty. Well, thank you, Brother Harlan, for that. But since you're on the roll, we're going to let you, if you don't mind, close us out in prayer.
Lord, Your word says that how beautiful when brethren dwell together in unity. Thank you for being present with us all the time. And as we live our lives learning to die daily, surrendering, submitting, obeying your will, understanding that we're nothing without you, so that we can learn from you, learn the blueprint, and then teach that by example everywhere that we go, from home and then abroad. We need you in everything that we do. There's nothing that we need to do in this life that we want to do without you, because we understand that we can do all things through you, but without you, we can do nothing. So be yourself in us, have your way in us, continue to walk with us, guide us, teach us, instruct us, correct us, and everything that we need. We thank you for Psalm 91 covering, Psalm 23 covering. Heal our land. Thank you for provision. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your protection, your favor. We love you. We give you all the honor, glory, and praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
All righty.
Amen.
I would say thanks again for everybody coming and hanging out with us tonight. Again, we invite you each Thursday to come to be a part of a growing, loving community. So I'll say good night to each and one and have a wonderful evening. Good night, everyone.
All right, guys. Bless you.
Hey, Kyle, I'm getting ready to go rewind that Pittsburgh Steelers preseason game just to see how they look. I know preseason don't tell you a whole lot, but I got to see a little something, see what's going on. Hey,
right.
just don't let Eric Shaw get his hands on you.
We see, we a team, so we can take, as long as he don't get Harlan and Joe with him, we can contain that big man.
Hey, look, they already dropped off because they didn't want to hear nothing about the Steelers. No way.
All right.
Redskins all day. Redskins all day. Commanders.
Hey, thank you for putting that in there, Willie.
I'm from DC. Who else am I going to like?
I hear you, man.
Them and the Ravens.
Hey, I like your quarterback, though. Jayden Daniels, that boy ain't no joke. If y'all need a line to protect him, you can't stop him.
Yeah, that's what they need to get. That's what they focusing on, kind of. But one of the big linemen done got messed up. The pectoral muscle.
Yeah, that's a little hard to come back
Tunzel,
from.
I think Laremy Tunzel.
Yeah, that's a little rough to come back from, man. Yeah.
He out for the season.
Yep. Two things that do you in: a torn ACL, your Achilles, a ruptured Achilles, and a torn pectoral muscle. That's three that's gonna take you out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, fellas,
man.
y'all have a good evening.
Y'all be cool. All right, later.